Terumot, Perek Mishnah Hey, 5th Mishnah in the 8th chapter of Terumot. Okay, in the previous Mishnah, we talked about the idea of mayim or yayin migulim, uncovered liquids, and that Chazal, especially in the times of the Mishnah, were greatly concerned for the safety and security of Jews everywhere, and therefore they had an experience. It was clearly their experience that uncovered liquids would have the potential that a venomous animal, a scorpion, a snake, would go and drink from the liquid and would leave its venom and would be poisoning somebody and would cause death and destruction. So therefore they said mayim migulim or yayin migulim, even if it was from truma, uncovered truma wine, you have to spill out. And that shows the level, if you understand, we're learning Terumot this whole time, shows the level of concern that Chazal had for safety, person's safety. We'll come back to this in a bit. Okay? Says I have a little editorial comment about this from the Mishnah itself. So now we're going to learn, okay, so we said if you left the wine uncovered, the question is how much water, how much mayim? Says the Mishnah, very short Mishnah. Shi'ur mayim migulim, so how much water is uncovered that we're concerned about? Meaning, is it any amount? Is it a cup? Is it a barrel? Says the Mishnah. Kedei shetovad behem hamara. So it has to be enough that if the snake would drink in it, if it's so large, that it would be batel, that it would be negated. Okay, says the Bartanura, ima yumayim kol kach, there was so much water, achener eres anachashi pased v'yovad behem, that the poison of the snake would become lost, would become batel, en behem mishum gilui. And we don't know, then there's not a problem. Yodim ayu kama eres anachash metil b'pam achad. They knew. I mean, it's not relevant as we learned in the last Mishnah today. We're not choshesh, but they knew how much a snake would leave, how much venom a snake would leave any time that it drank. So that's the Tanakama. Rabbi Yossi says no. B'kelim kol she'en. If it's a kli, if it's a barrel, a cup, a jug, any size amount, then it's kol she'en. Then you have to be choshesh and spill the whole thing out. And remember, water, like we think water comes from the faucet. It did not come with the faucet. It had to be drawn, and that was a huge tircha. And we said wine, of truma, or whatever. Ubekarkaot, in wells, 40 sa'ah. 40 sa'ah. So it had to be a huge amount. So any amount, he says, bekelim afilu merubim, any larmayan kol she'em yesh b'hem mishum gilui kshamayim bekelim. Any amount, any size, a larger size. Okay, Rabbi Yossi said you had to spill out. Ubekarkaot 40 sa'ah. Yesh b'hem mishum gilui, and up to 40 sa'ah, which is the size of a mikvah, then it's a problem of left open. But more than that, ein b'hem mishum gilui. But we don't pass ein halachak Rabbi Yossi. They didn't pass them like Rabbi Yossi. They measured based on the size of the kli, of the vessel and utensil, and the amount of poison. I just want to quote he says, Umayana moshech, let's say it's flowing water, then afilu koshu, then there's no problem because the water is continually switching, shifting. Umayim migulim, and I want to remember I quoted you the Tosefta in the Yerushalmi from the last Mishnah. He says, uncovered water, kashem she'asu lishtotan, just like you can't drink it, kach asu lashkotan lebehemto, you can't feed it to your animal. Ulachotz behem panav edavar aglav, you can't wash your face with it. Ulagabel behem etatit, you can't mix mud with it. Lishtamesh behem mishumta, you can't use it at all, because they were afraid that this poison would become absorbed into your skin, and it would poison a person. You know, they were very much concerned scientifically, and they were afraid it was in Isur. I just want to say that we see from this, especially from the Mishnah before, that you're spilling out, you're spilling out Truma, how concerned Chazal were with Isurim. And what's fascinating is, for some reason, I find this with like bike helmets and things like that. There are whole communities, especially in Israel, where are very meticulous, very makbid on halacha. But when it comes to Isurim, somehow we invoke the rule of Shomer P'tayim Hashem, that God, watches over the fools. And it doesn't make sense at all. Chazal, we see from Mishnayot, like the last few Mishnayot, just how careful Chazal were about Isur, were about Sakana. That they were more concerned about Sakana than they were about Isur. Spill out the Truma, which is crazy. It's Kodshim, it belongs to God. It's not Kodshim, but it's Kadosh, it has holiness. Nonetheless, they were concerned about Sakana to such a degree. And it's my wish, I wish that people who are so makbid on halacha would be as equally makbid about Sakana and would consider it as serious as they were, even the smallest possibility of Isur. We'll stop here. If you have any comments or questions, email me at arspoter@gmail.com, and we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a good day.